To help you understand the first law of thermodynamics for a closed system, we're going to do one more example. This is an example of a gearbox. So you can see within the box, you have two gears right next to each other. The top one is a bigger one, the bottom one is a smaller one. And the purpose of a gearbox is to change the angular velocity. So we have W dot 1, the power going inside the gearbox is negative 60 kilowatts. Why is it negative? Because W dot 1, the power, goes into the box, and the gearbox is my system. So let's draw the dashed line around the gearbox, indicating this is my system. So now W dot 1 goes into your system. That means your system consumes this much work. So that's why it's a negative number. Remember, if W is positive, that means the system generates work. If the W is negative, that means the system consumes work. Now, because W dot 1 goes into my system, so my system consumes W dot 1. So that's why W dot 1 is equal to negative 60 kilowatts. And then W dot 2. W dot 2 is the work coming out of the gearbox. What should be W dot 2? Should it be a positive number or should it be a negative number? W dot 2 comes out of my system. So that means my system generates W dot 2. So W dot 2 must be a positive number. Okay, what else do we know? Okay, surface temperature, T surface temperature of the gearbox is 300 Kelvin. Ambient temperature of the air is 293 Kelvin. Surface area of the gearbox is 1 meter square. And we also know it's at a steady state. Do you remember what steady state means? Steady state means the properties do not change over time. Okay, and then we can say outside of the gearbox, you have air flowing. You have air flowing, which will give you convection heat transfer. If you have fluid flowing over a surface, what you're going to have is called convection heat transfer. So the air will take away heat from the gearbox. And this kind of heat transfer is called convection heat transfer. How much heat will be taken away by convection? You can use this equation, which is given Q dot with a subscript convection is equal to negative HA times surface temperature minus ambient temperature. Okay, where H is called convection heat transfer coefficient and is directly given for this problem. So the first question is to look for Q dot heat transfer rate. Next one is to look for W dot 2 power of number 2. Okay, let's start from heat transfer. Q dot. For this system, Q dot is the total heat transfer, and the only heat transfer we have is convection. So Q dot is equal to Q dot convection. And then we follow this equation, negative HA T surf minus T ambient. Okay, we do have surface temperature, we do have ambient temperature, we do have surface area, we also have convection heat transfer coefficient H. We have everything in the right hand side. So Q dot is really straightforward. We're just plugging everything in the right hand side. Okay, negative H, what is H? 0.171. Okay, and be careful about the units. Kilowatts, meter square, Kelvin. There's one that is not SI. Which one is it? Kilowatts. So we need to convert kilowatts to watts, which is SI, by multiplying 10 to the third. Okay, multiply by surface area, 1 meter square, SI unit. Multiply by surface temperature. What is surface temperature? 300 Kelvin. Okay, remember Kelvin is the SI unit for temperature, minus ambient temperature 293. So now everything in the right hand side is in SI unit. Okay, our solution is negative 1200. and the solution must also have SI unit. What is the SI unit for Q dot? Q dot is heat transfer rate. If you don't remember, you can go back to our notes. The unit is watt. Okay, and your solution is negative. What does that mean? System loses heat. Okay, you can think of the gearbox in the car. It's really hot, so it must lose heat to the environment. Your solution makes sense. You must have a negative Q dot because the system loses heat. Okay, so after Q dot, we're looking for W dot 2. W dot 2. Okay, how do I look for work? I have heat transfer now. I'm looking for work. Is there such an equation that has both Q and W in it? Do you remember that? What is that? Yes, that is first law. So now let's go back to first law. Let's go back to first law. Okay, there it is. Those are the two forms of first law of thermodynamics for a closed system. So we've been practicing using the first one, Q minus W equal to delta E. Which option do you think we should use for this example? Obviously, we're going to use option number 2 because we're dealing with Q dot and W dot. Okay, and before applying this equation, you should always check if your system is a closed system. Only if your system is a closed system can you use these equations. Okay, all right, so let's check our system. Our system is within the dash line, it's the gearbox. Do you see any inlet or outlet? Or in other words, do you see mass going in or mass coming out? There's no mass transfer. The only thing you see is work going in and a work coming out. Work is not mass. So there's no mass transfer. If there's no mass transfer, it must be a closed system. And if it is a closed system, I can safely use first law of thermodynamics. And this time we use the second format, Q dot minus W dot equal to dE over dt. Okay, so now recall steady state. Steady state. What does steady state mean? No property changes over time. Do you remember how we wrote that in mathematics? If you don't, you can refer to our notes in the first week. Is partial any property over partial time must be equal to 0. So now let's take a look. Is E a property? E is total energy. Total energy is a property. So what does the right hand side mean? The change of total energy over time. Because it is steady state, that means no property changes over time. So the change of total energy, which is a property over time, must be 0. Okay, steady state means no change over time. So the right hand side, the change over time must be 0. Okay, so this equation will be simplified to Q dot equal to W dot. Okay, let's do this. Q dot minus W dot equal to 0. Okay, so now let's continue. Q dot, I already have it. I don't need to worry about it, so leave it alone. However, when you talk about W dot for your system, let's go back to the diagram. W dot for my system. How many W's do you notice? I have actually two W's. The first one is W dot 1. The second one is W dot 2. So when you go back to this equation, for W dot, you actually have to combine every single one of them. If you have three of them, it should be W dot 1 plus W dot 2 plus W dot 3. You have to sum up all the W's. For our problem, we only have two, so W1 dot plus W2 dot. Okay, you have to sum up all of them. All right. Okay, next one, we're looking for W dot 2. So we do the algebra. We move W dot 2 to the left-hand side and everything else to the other side. What is left is Q dot minus W dot 1. Okay, I have both of them. So I just need to plug in the numbers. Q dot which we found earlier from before, is negative 1200 watts SI unit. Very good. Minus W1 dot. What is W1 dot? W1 dot is right here, negative 60 kilowatts. So what you need to do is to convert kilowatts to watts so that we have SI unit. Okay, minus negative 60 kilowatts. So multiply by 10 to the third to convert kilowatts to watts. And don't forget the negative sign here. Okay, don't forget the negative sign here. All right, so now our solution is 58.8 times 10 to the third. SI unit for power is watts. And the last one, 58.8 kilowatts. Convert watts to kilowatts. So this is our solution. And our solution is positive. What does that mean? That means system generates work. And is that the case? Let's go back to the diagram. W dot 2 comes out of my system. So that means my system generates W dot 2. If the system generates work, the work must be positive. So your W2 dot must be positive. Is it positive? Yes. Okay, so your solution makes sense.